Welcome to Dear Fans. So this is actually being the shock of free agency. Like, I'm being dead serious here. This is the shock of free agency, no if answer. But's about it, the shock of free agency is the fact that the Fever signed their backup point guard, and it might be one of the best vets in the entire WNBA. The Fever have signed Sydney Colson. The Fever have signed Sydney Colson, two-time WNBA champion Sydney Colson, the X Factor. For the 2023 champion Aces, Sydney Colson. Yes, Sydney Colson coming towards the end of her career, but it's Sydney Colson Fugger, who, knowing how many minutes Kitten Clark is going to play, knowing how many minutes Kelsey Mitchell is going to play, knowing how good the watch K at the like good the Wings are on this team, they literally just signed Sydney Colson, which is huge. This is the biggest shock. No one would have guessed Sydney Colson, yet people said no one was signing. So what would have they signed? They have signed one of A's favorite teammates. They have signed Dan Freen.
Boner, they signed
Sophie Cunningham, and they signed Natasha Howard. Like, what a free agency. Oh my god, like, again, Sydney Colson's not young. I mean that, like, you will look at Sydney Colson's points per game. I just be like, oh, Sydney Colson's not going to bring anything. No, it's all about, like, she's 35. It's all just about what they do in their minutes. So Sydney Colson too. 8 points per game. He might be again saying, oh, she sucks. Like, no. Sydney Colson can give you so much and so little. And that's the thing with Colson against the Liberty. 4 points in 6 minutes in one of those games she comes in and will just occasionally. It doesn't matter where she's playing 12 minutes. Like 19th in the regular season. She had 13 points in the last game of the season. She can shoot the 3 ball well, like, doesn't take that many shots. It had 8 points in 9 minutes against the Liberty. 6 points. 11 minutes, 13 minutes, 18 minutes, 10 minutes, like, depending on minutes, it doesn't matter. And she doesn't care. Sydney Colson does not care. And that's the biggest thing about Sydney Colson, is that she gives you, and this is such an important part for someone who's not going to play that many minutes, she has championship experience. She has clutch championship experience. Like, Sydney Carson has unbelievably clutch championship experience. She is by her own, like, words. Like, she's the face, but like, Sydney Colson is just such a big pickup. She was the main reason why they won in 2023. She stepped in Game 4 and basically, like, came in for an injured Chelsea Gray, having to play huge minutes after barely playing at all in the regular season, barely playing the playoffs, and came in as and balled out in game for the finals. This is a huge signing, and I don't think real people don't realize this. Just how important those types of players are. Like, you have now got Colson, who has been in the league since 2011, who's a 2-time champion, who obviously won an NCAA championship, but if you look, she stuck around the league for quite a while, and like, she was with the Aces for San Antonio Stars for a couple of years, then obviously 2 unreal seasons for the Lakers, where she was champion in both, and she never played that many minutes. That's the thing. It wasn't like she was out there playing big minutes, but she's somebody that is going to be a real vet, and is going to probably play 6 minutes a game, and give you an unbelievable 6 minutes. She chose to play with the better 22. She left AIA Wilson to play on a minimum, almost certainly on a minimum for Indiana. That's crazy. That is crazy. And I still think Indiana are not done in free agency. By the way, I still think they're not done, because they still literally only have 1.5 point guards on their roster. Sydney Colson can kind of play there a little bit. Like, and a lot of people, like, they cook Grace Berger for Sydney Colson. I think that there's one more. They have one more trade to make. Because she is probably making, like, I think what Grace Berger on, like, 80K, she's probably making like 20K less than Grace Berger. She's probably on the minimum contract. And on a minimum, Sydney Colson, like, AC's fans, Sydney Colson's been blocked undue. Given the title they've won already. Not Kathy punishing her for this. Oh my god, dear Lord, they cut 25. Why old GRBG for it. They're not done. Like, Sydney Colson is going to be one of those last 2 off the bench. They're going to have one. They're going to probably have one young player, Sydney Colson, and they're going to do something with the Katie Lumi. Not your favorite, the fan favorite of the Ace is going to Indiana. Like, that's the craziest part about this. This is the biggest shock so far. Yeah, this is the biggest shock in free agency. Players are tripping over themselves. Team O. Clark and Boston, Indiana has added 3 players combined for 7 WNBA TES offseason, and their other additions. Sophie Cunningham still has finals experience, a clear priority to balance at the young, more inexperienced court. I mean, they're so old right now. This team was like one of the youngest teams there is outside of Lexi Hall, Lexi Lee, Caitlin Clark, and like, Leah Boston is not that old. Good for the locker room, great for the Locker room, absolutely great for locker room. We need to investigate this team like AC's fans. She kept calling Sydney Golson the face of the league just for to end up play with the real face of the league. Are they still going to call Sydney Golson the face of the league? Now the face of the league is now in Indy. They've got both faces of the league. Why are the Fever signing a genuine bench warmer? People don't understand the role of like a know your role bench warmer. Like this is a big thing. And look, I still don't think she's going to be like high rotation minutes. I don't think we'll be like, this is how much of a shock this is. I actually thought this was a troll. I genuinely thought this was a troll. Thought when I saw this, and I was like, is this Sentinel? Is this WNBA Sentinel talking about this? Was she hacked? That's how crazy this is. I was literally like, why she hacked? Because this was the most shocking, this was the most baffling one, this was the most shocking free agent signing. And now we're just waiting for the Indiana Fever has traded Katie Lou Samuels to the Golden State Valkyries, seeing what they get back for the Valkyries, or if they get back anything, because I still think they do need, but like we all thought it was like people were competing for 2 spots. I reckon wouldn't be surprised if they do something like give up. Maybe they give the Valkyries a Christy Wallace and Ty Lue Sampson, and then they give their 2026 first to get off both of their contract. And then it means they can give it to a rookie big, give a spot to a rookie big. They can use the rookie big and Sydney Golson as their last 2 off the bench. And then you've got a backup big and a backup what you call backup big, backup point guard. And you can pay a little bit for that, and you've got Golson there as just kind of a locker room player, which would be still unbelievable. But yeah, this is the most shocking of every free agency decision, genuinely, is I would be absolutely shocked. And I mean this like I'd be so shocked if she's in the main rotation as the backup. But still this is genuinely one of the top like locker room free agency signings, and I actually cannot believe this happened. Of all the signings, we all talked about Deebner, we all talked about maybe Howard people. We're talking about Sophie Cam, they were all surprises, but I mean this is like the biggest shock in all of free agency anyway, yeah. And is the video, I still think the FIFA are not done. I still think the FIFA are not done because they're not going into next season with Kay Sampson. I would be so shocked. But anyway, that's the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.